Alrighty everyone, welcome to episode 2 where ripping into is probably a way to say it, the build right now. And yeah, some important life lessons learnt in this one. So I thought it would be a good idea to buy a car that was somewhat complete, ready to go. I could do a little bit here and there and it wouldn't take me 7 years to get it on the track. Well, I started digging into this thing and yeah, let's just say there's a lot of stuff that wasn't that nice. Went to start doing some roll cage pieces, which I'll put in some clips now of what I was originally planning on doing. A couple of X's, brace the car up, etc, etc. More or less through here, we have the blade arm mount coming through the floor pan. We have our rear wheel arch and the shocks and suspension and subframe will mount behind this. We have our main roll hoop structure and there's nothing really tying it in between. So the plan is to run a couple bars, brace it all up, down to the blade mount, and then we're probably also going to run a cross brace from down here, all the way up to the opposite side on the wheel arch, and then from down here, all the way to here. Well, we got further into the planning process, started inspecting some of the cage work underneath, what was shown under the paint, under the welds on the top, and there's no roll cage in here anymore. It's actually sitting in the back of my ute. It's about to go to the scrap. So I'm going to throw in some photos now and I'm going to show you, and you guys can make your mind up on how in the bloody hell did Motorsport Australia / Cams certify a roll cage that shit. This lovely welding times a trillion. Plenty of not even welded joints. Plenty of dog shit. Long story short, if I go race this thing at Bathurst or Sandown, any track where I've got a bit of pace on, down the back straight, whatever, blow a tyre, go on the wall, whatever, I would fairly certainly say I probably would have died or sustained some form of lifelong injury that I probably wouldn't be able to walk again. I'd be a vegetable. I would have something wrong with me more than I already do. So the safest port of call from now for me was to cut the roll cage out and completely start again. So the cage originally was MIG welded, mild steel, yeah, 1.75" main B pillar hoop. The rest was all 1.5". Absolutely terribly executed. So yeah, long story short, I know full well I can do a better job and I'd feel a lot safer doing 200 k's an hour, whatever, in something that I built myself. I know is fully welded, that everything is nice. I get it all recertified through Cams or Motorsport Australia. Not that that actually fucking matters apparently. And yeah, I can TIG weld it all. I can make it pretty. The car will be way stiffer, way safer, and overall, while I'm here, I'm just going to do it. So it might be a little bit hard to see, but the 6 points of the cage I've left the base plates in. And everything else is in the back of my ute. So I'll give you a quick gaze. This is all going in the bin. Absolutely shithouse. The only part I actually feel comfortable reusing is the B pillar. As you can see, I've done some work cleaning up the old tubes off it. I'm going to remove these extra 2 tails. These to go to the backstays, and I may or may not leave the diagonal brace in, but regardless, I'm going to clean that up. We're going to put that back in the car on the base plates, and I'm going to start from scratch. New A-pillar bars, full dash bar, all the stuff I wanted to do to brace the car up, incorporated into the actual cage itself, and it's going to be safe as fuck, and the car's going to handle good. It's messy work, as you can see by my face, but I've got the B pillar hoop, tack back in where she needs to go. And the next day, just gotta start smashing out bars. So let's do it. Now, I probably wouldn't go saying I'm the world's best TIG welder, but I've definitely come a long way in the last little while. Yesterday, absolutely smashed out some shit in the afternoon. Get a handle on this roll cage situation. So, as you can see, A pillar bars, our longitudinal transverse main hoop connector, whatever the fuck, roof bar. Our B pillar is in and tacked. And now I've been working on this lovely roof diagonal. So I'm going to throw that in the car. So yeah, basically, in case you're wondering, when I go to weld the tops of these bars, all I'm going to do is cut the tacks off the B pillar, slide it forward because it'll drop down in the tray, and then I'll be able to get to all the tops up here. I'll be able to get to all the tops of the B pillar bars, my roof diagonal, all that kind of stuff. Because yeah, like I said, I've got about 200 millimeters I can drop the rear, and then yeah, I can also push the cage rearward, and I'll be able to weld in the door opening here if I can't get the last little bit on this tube. But yeah, all in all, it's coming together. I'm pretty happy. We got all the wire, not the wire, the cross brace, the front bar as welded in as I can. Obviously the next stage is to drop the cage through the floor. Alright, g'day people. It's been a few days. I actually succumbed to a little injury. I don't know if you can see it. May or may not have put the angle grinder through my finger. But we're back here and working anyway, so drop the roll cage down now like I was talking about before. So cut the tuck welds off the pads on the back, dropped it down, and look at that. All the room we have. We can weld everything now. And luckily enough, plenty of room to weld the tops of these bars. And these bars also. Should be nice and easy. Fellas and ladies, if you watch them, which I doubt it, But we've got our basic cage structure done, so the only thing really left, I think I've touched on, is the door bars, and then I'm going to tie in the front strut towers in the rear with some diagonals. But yeah, it's actually coming along pretty nicely. I'm pretty happy with it. The quality is definitely a million times better than what was in there before. And with the extra design I've done with the third door bar, you guys will see how the door bars come along. The whole chassis is just going to have a lot more rigidity and stiffness, so I'm pretty happy with what's going on. And it was definitely the right move. I feel better and better about cutting the old cage out every time I work on it. Mine the red eyes, a bit tired and it's been working flat out, bit of sweating and whatnot. I'm not stoned. Basically where we're at right now is I've completed my door bar X's. As you can see, Motorsport Australia spec, we've got to work in with half the door height, draw a line. Everything's got to be as high as possible but below that line, so I think they're 15mm below our max. So as high as they can be for safety. But as you can see, so we initially started with our third door bar, so we have our X and then we have a door bar along the bottom. The plan is to run a straight gusset from our X down to the third door bar, and then our third door bar down the bottom stitched to the rocker panel, which is just going to stiffen up the whole car in this plane between our A and B pillar. And it's just going to be fucking minty for the chassis setup and for strength and safety and all that other jazz. So once we've done those bars, which I'm about to work on now, we're actually going to work on our second A-pillar bar. It's our second A-pillar bar just here. So cut them to the right profile, I'm about to notch it. Cups up here to our A-pillar, and then it's going to tuck in nicely behind the door bar X. Motorsport Australia rules say if our tube is to intersect this, we must notch our door bar X. Now, obviously for strength, you've now got your door bar X's are in 3 pieces, or 4 pieces, whatever it is. And I don't know, the straighter you can keep your tubes, no bends in them, minimal cutting and intersecting of pipes and tubes, the stronger it's going to be. So we've actually got it in a way that the door bar X is here, second A-pillar comes through and just brushes it. It'll sit on it with some nice little gussets. And yeah, no compromising of strength or nothing. Everything just worked out nicely in the position it's in. It's going to fit me in, it's going to be strong, and yeah, it'll be good. So let's get to work.
Visions of Martin Luther staring at me.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are a fair way through the build now. I've put some random clips and stuff in there, but I got really hard to try and document absolutely everything. But basically, if we look behind me now, we do have tubes poking through the engine bay. they are to land on the strut towers, but the cage has been pulled backwards so I could finish welding some stuff and clean her up, and I'm about to prime it. So it's just going to make it a bit easier before I send her away to get painted, but she's all cleaned up and tidy and ready to go. As you can see, ended up having to bend this tube to go through the firewall just there, but that's okay. And yeah, she's come along really, really nicely. I'm really happy with it. Everyone, I'm gonna wrap it up there for this episode. I got a bit messy with the filming throughout it. As you can see, the car's actually a lot further ahead than probably the last time I spoke to the camera. Right now, you would have seen in the clips that I've thrown in, the roll cage is fully painted, fully primed. Sorry, it's fully primed, about to be painted. We've got our steering column mount done, all the bars are done, we're through to the strut towers, everything's done. I've just started capping off the front of the chassis rails, ready for some crash bars and that kind of thing, which is getting exciting now. We're into the good stuff of the build instead of the fixing up the shit roll cage that was in there before. So I'm going to throw some clips in of the car completely finished now, and we'll crack on to episode 2, which will probably be another few months, where I'm going to get into doing the front subframe for the car and billet uprights and all that kind of cool stuff. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll leave you with some shots of the car.